Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. Hope everybody is doing well. It's been a little bit since we last spoke, and it's good to see you guys. We do have the latest breaking news. Obviously, the biggest story today is that Manchester United have been linked to Tchouaméni, as well as another story also linking Eduardo Camavinga as a potential sort of player to come in instead of Elliot Anderson, because as we've gotten updates, United are still very interested in Elliot Anderson. They're still he is still the top target, but there is a little bit of a reservation in terms of if Manchester United are going to spend that amount of money on Elliot Anderson, because Nottingham Forest want 100 million for him. Manchester City are in pole position to get him as it stands. And Manchester United may be a bit reserved in wanting to pay 100 million for Elliot Anderson. And so they may be looking elsewhere. So we're going to get into that. Obviously, big win at Stamford Bridge. Wasn't able to watch basically pretty much the whole game. I saw the goal. I literally only saw the goal. And then in the second half, I was able to watch, maybe from like the 75th minute or so to the end. And obviously, in that period of the match, we were, just sort of defending the 1-0 lead and being hard to break down, which I think we did well enough. Chelsea seemed pretty shit anyway. Although I did hear that they had their chances. They hit the post or crossbar a couple times. And it was a fairly sort of a stalemate match except for our goal. But, listen, big response, I would say, at the very least. I mean, I can't go into full details because I didn't watch the whole thing, so I can't break it down like I usually do. But what I will say is, listen, I think, going to Stamford Bridge, it hasn't been the easiest place for us to win. I don't think we have necessarily the best record there over, past few years or so. And we were able to go there, get 3 points. We put 10 points space between us and them. It was definitely a 6-pointer, and it was a good bounce back and a good response, I would say, at the very least, to the last match, which we lost to Leeds at home. So, but we do have a couple. There's a lot of updates. So there's updates pertaining to a couple other midfielders like Adam Wharton, even Elliot Anderson, and stuff like that. So it's going to be a good show. Make sure you're smashing the like button. Make sure you get that done, people. Okay. But I hope everybody is doing well. We'll get into the Tchouaméni thing in a minute. Ax, you need to relax or I will kick you out of here. All right. The show, we didn't even start the show and you're pissing me off already. All right. Relax. All right. Don't curse at me and don't curse at other people. Renoso, what's up? Lucky, what's up? Elliot Anderson has said Manchester United, he will join Manchester City. Well, he may very well join Manchester City, and, there's nothing that we could really do about that. It's out of our hands. But we can have a discussion about, if he does join Manchester City, what is our pivot and where are we going and what are we going to be doing? And we do have to follow a bit of the news. So Mason Mount, Kobe Mainoo, Mazwar Aiden, Heaven, Brian, and Bruno rest up. Well, yeah, I know that Heaven did have an excellent game, and Kobe did too. And, Maz playing in the center-back pairing with Heaven, I was quite interested into what he was going to do about that because I saw the news about Lenny not being available, and obviously Martinez is suspended, and Maguire was also suspended. So I was a bit concerned there going into the match because I was like, well, we're sort of in a crisis in the center-back position. And, really, I was like, well, it's going to be Maz or it's going to be Luke Shaw. And he did pick Maz, and I always said that I like Maz as a center back. I mean, I had a bit of reservation about it because I was like, well, he's going to be playing in a fullback and it's partnering with one center back, so it may be different than when he played in the 3 back or the 5 back, whatever you want to call it, with the 3 center backs. But no, I mean it was fine, worked well. Axe says we were lucky at Stamford Bridge, but whatever. Yeah, I don't really care if we're lucky or not. We got the 3 points, and we were able to get the job done. Sometimes luck plays a part of it, but I don't think you could be lucky 100% over 90 minutes. So, heaven was heavenly good. Well, yes. But listen, if you guys want to talk about the match a little bit later, towards the end of the show, we'll circle back to it. But let's sort of do the midfield update here. Obviously, the big story, and this is coming from James Ducker in the Telegraph, which is why it has a little bit more bite to it, a little bit more, attention to it than maybe from the past. Sort of, I mean, this isn't the first. It's not like he's just broke this himself. I mean, these links were here, a couple weeks ago. But James Ducker getting on top of this is gives it a little bit more credibility. So, where do we start here? So one of the things before we actually hit the Tchouaméni update, okay? James Ducker, he came to the Telegraph, giving us like sort of a full update. Sort of around the midfield and maybe the summer and stuff like that. Now, I'm encouraged by this because, as I was saying for the past few weeks, United have been saying that they want 2 midfielders. They want 2 midfielders. They're gonna the plan is to get 2 midfielders, and I keep saying we need 3 midfielders because Ugarte needs to leave. He needs to be sold, and if Ugarte is sold, then we can't just sign 2 midfielders. We need 3 for the depth. And if they only do 2, I don't believe it's enough, and I don't really know how we're going to balance that out for next season going into Champions League. And wanting to obviously not get knocked out of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup that in the rounds that we got knocked out. I ultimately wanted to win them, but we want to go far. We want to try and maybe push for the title or something like that, have a really good season in the Premier League again. And then obviously we want to compete in the Champions League. So James Ducker here said Manchester United could even look to bring in a 3rd midfielder should Manuel Ugarte leave. They are keen to ensure that any new arrivals complement what they already have in the squad and that they get their combinations right. Well, it's a good thing because I've been saying this, and I don't really know, I don't know 100% for sure what would be the exact correct combination because I feel like it is a bit hard to make it when I don't know how much of the transfer budget we actually have. But we have talked about this. And I think Ineos do things in terms of, listen, I like the character of the squad, comparing it to the past with former players that we had here and former iterations of the squad. We might need better quality, and you always probably need better quality because teams are always looking to improve. But I do like sort of the chemistry of the team. I like how there's a bit more of a togetherness between these players. We haven't really had that in past iterations of the squad. It was very cliquey, very, I would say, selfish at times. Very, sort of high schoolish, acting like children and stuff like that. These lads, in my opinion, I mean, they suffered a lot under Ruben, but they suffered a lot together, and they stuck together. And even under Ruben's time, they didn't down tools on him. So I do like sort of the chemistry and sort of the attitude and even the mentality. I think it could get even better, but I do rate sort of, the profile of the player in terms of, forget about the ability wise, but all the other stuff. I think Ineos have done a good job getting the players in. So I am looking for them to get in. I mean, whoever they get into the midfield, they do have to complement what we already have. I've said that more, a few times already, and it does got to be a proper combination. Now, ultimately, you can make a couple different combinations, so it's up to their determination what would be the best combination. But this is why they get paid the big bucks. They are Jason Wilcox, Barada, and even our German boy there. I don't know why I forgot his name. Vivel, sorry. Even Vivel, these guys, this is their job to figure this out. So we'll see where it goes. But moving into this real quick, okay? Manchester United are keeping, and this is also from James Ducker in the Telegraph. Manchester United are keeping a close eye on Tchouaméni's situation. He features prominently on their short list of candidates to replace Casemiro as they seek a new top-class number 6 this summer. Any move could hinge on Real Madrid signing a new midfield this summer and their need to sell to finance the deal. Florentino Perez, the club's president, is known to admire Rodri. They go on to say Rodri is out of contract at the end of next season and City have offered him a new deal, but if Real opt to formalize their interest, it could open the door for United to move for Tchouaméni. I mean, it's quite interesting. I don't know what you guys feel and think about Tchouaméni. Would you take him? I have seen some replies. I feel like it's a bit split within the fan base, at least on the online fan base. Some people would take him very easily. They rate him very highly. Some people think it's a bad decision and they don't want him and they don't rate him. And I've seen people say that he's rigid, and wouldn't be a good fit for what we need. And they would rather go and get other targets instead of Tchouaméni. I think he would probably cost us maybe 55 million. I think I saw that quoted somewhere, but I can't be 100% because I don't see it now. But congratulations on the 3,300 subscribers. Thank you. It's actually 3,310, but I don't know. It updates by tens, and every once in a while, I don't know. You'll see when somebody subscribes, it'll go back to 3,310. But thank you. We absolutely need 3 midfielders. Well, that's what I say as well. Because I think with Ugarte, we already know that we already seen him enough. We know that he's, again, in my opinion, and I'm not one of these people. I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't like Ugarte, and I guess you can just say he's fucking shit. But I don't even think I need to go there. I think you can analyze it a bit further and just say he's not versatile enough. I think for me that is the key description, the key understanding of that, what we need for the midfield and what Ineos look for in players. He's not versatile enough. He can only basically do one job. And also I don't think he really fits. Listen, we bring him in for when Ten Hag was here and Ten Hag was doing the whole sort of 3 midfield thing. We're not really doing that. And I think Ugarte would be good maybe if we played a 4 and a 3 midfield with 1 CDM and then 2, whatever they are, 8s or 6s or whatever you want to call them, or an 8 and a 6, but basically 1 CDM and 2 central midfielders in front of him. I think Ugarte would be okay for that, but we clearly aren't going to play that. We're not playing that. And, if you look at our setup under Carrick, and it's still even a bit similar to when Ruben was here, we need 2 guys that can do a little bit of both. They need to be versatile. They need to be able to tackle. The moments that I caught of the match versus Chelsea, I mean, I saw Kobe, and Kobe was was winning the ball back exceptionally well, and he seems to have improved in that area. So that's always a positive, but we're losing Cass, and Cass is a guy that, listen, he's good defensively. If he was younger, he'd be, on top of the world. We'd have one of the best CDMs in the world. He's still very good, but sometimes his legs hurt him a little bit. But he does get involved going forward. I mean, he's scored a amount of goals this season. He is very good at passing. And we're going to need somebody to replace him then. That's why I think, when you see Kobe and Cass, it works pretty good. But beyond Kobe and Cass, we don't really have anything, do we? So we need more. And, Ugarte is not the answer for that. And we're down a guy. So, Carrick inspired the United soul into their bodies. Reynoso says, yes, I agree. I think the ultimate disciplining of Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho was a bit of an acknowledgement, and thank you to the players who remain, show their efforts were noticed. Well, listen, I will say that I'm not going to give him totally credit for it, because I think it has to come, as I always say, and as I always believe it should be, it's got to be the manager or head coach, but also the hierarchy. So I'll split the credit between both of them, but I've been saying stuff like this, Reynoso, and I do think like the removal of Rashford, the removal of Garnacho, Sancho was before Ruben, but Ineos could have tried to maybe bring him back if they really wanted to. They done a good job with that, and I think the one thing that maybe Ruben can walk away with out of Manchester United is that he sort of got rid of the bad apples. Didn't stand for, this bad attitude sort of stuff. So, it was a good move by the club that we got rid of Garnacho, as we could see. And, there was the whole problem with Rashford where he wasn't happy here and he didn't want to be here, so he had to go. It's as simple as that. I mean, you either fix up your attitude and figure out an answer, or, if you don't and you can't, then you can't stay. You can't stay. So they had to get rid of him, which is what we wouldn't have done in the past. I will say that. Under Ed Woodward and whatever and stuff like that, we wouldn't have done that. We would have kept Marcus Rashford because he's a star and, social media and this and that. And we would have had to keep him. We would have kept Garnacho probably because, forget about his poor attitude or whatever. The fans online, there was a lot of hype around him, promising kid. But we don't do these things anymore. So I think the team is progressing in a positive way in that manner. Volpe is here. Lucky says Manuel Ugarte is ready to leave Man United this summer and move to Newcastle United. Well, he may very well do so, but we will see. How much is price? He's too old. Tchouaméni's too old. What is he, 26? I don't know if he's too old. But listen, on that factor, I would advise Ineos. He's 26 years of age. He'll be 27 in January. I would advise Ineos that they need to sort of break that a little bit. I don't think we need to sign anybody that's 30, 31 years of age. I mean, you could do so for maybe one player, but I do think they need to break that slightly. Okay, 26 years of age for a player at, I think if he costs us 50, 55 million, something like that. I don't think that's not a bad buy. It's not a risky buy per se either. He'll be 27. He'll be going into his prime. We've done worse deals, way worse deals. That have ended horribly. I don't think that's a bad deal at all. Obviously, his wages, it would depend on his wages as well. But I do think Ineos need to break that a little bit, because we can't just have like a team with a bunch of like 23-year-olds and 24-year-olds. I think we could use a little bit of experience, and especially if we're going to get 3 midfielders. I mean, we got a young guy in Kobe already. We can have a little bit more of an experienced guy entering his prime in somebody like a Tchouaméni, and then you can get the other 2 guys that are probably going to be young. They're probably going to be 23 years of age, around there, 22, 21. So I do think that Ineos does. They do need to sort of make an exception for at least one or two players somewhere in some position, for one of these guys and break that sort of mold in getting a 23, 24-year-old in every single position or younger. Okay, player, played great. PSG didn't work out. Oh, you're saying for Ugarte. Ugarte is almost the opposite of Christian Eriksen with no overlapping characteristics. We need a player that shares some characteristics of both. Yeah, and it's because Ugarte is he's just a defensive midfielder. Like he actually can't play 8. So I'm not hating on him like some people do, where they just say that he's fucking terrible and they basically want to kill the guy if they probably could, with the amount of like anger they have towards him. It's just, to me, it's just like, listen, we bought him. He doesn't fit for what we need going forward. It hasn't worked out. And ultimately, there's no animosity towards Manuel Ugarte. It's the club's responsibility to make the call on that and make the same identification as I'm making and others, and are saying, well, he's not good enough and we need to move you on. Whether you want to stay here or not, we've decided that we are going to sell you. And that's what they need to do. We'll talk about Rashford as well, because there's been an update about Marcus Rashford. We had 12 players on the pitch during our last game. Garnacho is the best selling transfer. Yeah, I mean, he did help us out. And he is pure profit as well. No. Rashford is not, he's not coming back. Rashford is not coming back to Manchester United. It's over. He may come back temporarily in terms of he's going to return from loan, but we are not going to see him in the squad. So, Mapuka says, get Alex Scott, Baleba, and Wharton. Forget all this Tonali and Anderson. Go get Jan Diomande and Martial Godo. I don't know who that is. Before City goes for Martial, I don't know who Martial is. But I like Alex Scott. And if we could do a deal for him, I think he would be an excellent sort of what I would say is a third signing for the midfield. Baleba is definitely still on the table for sure. Wharton, there's a bit of an issue with Wharton because I think many of us, we obviously rate Wharton, but some of the updates that we're getting out of, from the journalists, and I think this is the second time this has been reported, and it might be, I don't think it's from the same journalist. I think it's from a different journalist. So it's the same story twice, but by two different journalists. And the update was something along the lines of, and if I could find it, I'll give it to you more accurately, but I'll paraphrase, that Adam Wharton is still an option, but United don't believe that he is the best option because they view him as too similar to Kobe Mainoo. And they don't believe having a player like Adam Wharton, who is very similar to Kobe, and putting them next to each other is the best thing to do because it's not going to be balanced. So I don't know if we'll even actually really move for Wharton, going based off of those updates. And I don't know where it is, but I can't find it. Because I'd like to be accurate about it and just read the full thing. I did see it before. Let me see if I type his name in here. Wharton. Here. And this was from James Ducker today. So James Ducker did say, Adam Wharton, the Crystal Palace midfielder, is another who has been heavily scouted, but is thought to be considered too similar to Kobe Mainoo to be a natural partner in the deeper midfield positions. So I don't really know what that necessarily means. Like, are we just not going to go for him? Because they view him as too similar to Kobe Mainoo. Because I think, I mean, if you're going to sign 3 midfielders, you could technically get somebody that's similar to Kobe Mainu and get the other two that would be different. I don't see how that's a problem, but I don't know. They might view it as a problem. Rajat's here as well. What's up, Rajat? Tchouaméni. Well, the reason why the title, or I guess the thumbnail headline is too much money, is because that's what we used to call Tchouaméni. We call him too much money because when we used to play FIFA, he used to cost too much money. Marcus Rashford ready to join Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Well, but there's a problem with the Barcelona, and we'll talk about it. The goal for Alexander Pavlovich and Eduardo Camavinga, and also Manuel Locatelli. Well, I don't know if we're gonna go for Locatelli. I mean, as far as I think what's gonna happen, I still do believe that United, and specifically Ineos, are going to go down the route of Premier League experience. I think that they want to get, at the very least, they want to get 2 players in the midfield that have Premier League experience. I think they're going to try and replicate exactly what they did with the number 10s in Cunha and Buemo. I think they want to do it again in the midfield, in the central midfield. And then maybe the third option, they'll go and get somebody that's not necessarily in the Premier League. Because that way we'll have at least 3 players that are used to playing in the Prem, Kobe, and plus the other 2. And the other guy could be a Premier League experience, but you could maybe just get somebody that's not Premier League experience, and maybe it'll be all right in that sense. Yeah, you gave your perfect transfer list, but none of them are actual targets for us, so it's not happening. I am not no Baleba no more. He may be good, may be amazing long term, but don't think he is cutting it. If United have Bruno Fernandes, Mateus Fernandes, and Bruno G, unlikely. It'd be too many Fernandeses. Highly unlikely, but that would be funny. You are right. That would be super ironic. Super ironic if that was to happen. Where are my other updates? From James Ducker in the Telegraph. No, not those necessarily. This came from Ty Marshall, which is what I was kind of talking about a little bit before. But much has been made over the last 12 months of the way the dressing room culture has been reshaped, both through certain departures and making sure new signings fit within the character wanted in the squad. Carrington insiders have spoken about the togetherness and unity within this squad, and those are strengths that can help avoid one setback turning into a mini crisis. It's an attribute required if this version of United is to mount a serious challenge for a league title. And we've been talking about this for a long time. I've been talking about this for a long time. I've been making it a point since Erik ten Hag was here. And that's why I say the things I say, because I can see it. You can see it when you watch the matches. You can see it in the squad. You could see it between the players. And I think it's definitely improved, and it's definitely different. Doesn't mean that it's all set and done and that's it. We've perfected it. We can get better. We could get better players of better quality, and maybe improve the mentality and the attitude, and get players with better character. But it definitely has gotten better, which I think has helped us. Um, it's helped us this season for sure, and it's helped us coming off of last season. I mean, we've had some bad seasons. Obviously, last season was our worst season, but to come out of that season last season and still be together this season and try and perform as much as possible. And we've had some bad moments this season as well. And to continue forward, having a manager sacked and getting a new one in and doing what they did, you can only do that if you have a certain type of players with character in the squad. If the attitude and the mentality has improved, because otherwise they just end up like Spurs, or they just down tools or whatever it is. So, bro, I'm starting to have serious doubts about this recruitment. Wharton and Maino are not the same, and maybe physically, but not technically, tactically. Well, that's the thing. I don't really think that either. I don't really think Wharton and Maino are the same. So, I mean, it bothers me a little bit if that's the truth, that they think that, because that's kind of worrying. Because I think, I mean, how can you be so fucking wrong about that? Um, you know, in that sense. Because I don't think most people probably wouldn't classify and say Adam Morton is very similar player to Kobe Maino. I don't think they will. But the people in charge of our recruitment tend to think so. So, it's a bit worrying. And listen, there are some worrying signs there, and they could always get this monumentally wrong. Like, let's not like pretend about anything, okay? Listen, there's sometimes things happen for a reason, and sometimes, there's things that you might want to do, and you think is the correct choice, and it doesn't happen for you, and you end up being led down sort of a different path, and maybe it works out for you. And in that case, maybe you live by a little bit of luck. But that's with everything. And what I'm trying to say here is, when we started the summer transfer window last summer, Liam Delap was the number one target. We didn't get Liam Delap because he rejected us. He is now Liam DeCrap, and we have Benjamin Sesko. And everybody is much happier that we have Benjamin Sesko than if we have Liam Delap, because of how his time has gone at Chelsea and how Sesko has been with us. But Jason Wilcox was in charge, or is the main guy in charge of the recruitment, and Jason Wilcox wanted Liam Delap, and we didn't get him. So we're a bit fortunate that happened. But Jason Wilcox is still here, and he's still in charge. So if he can make a shit call or mistake on Liam Delap, he can make a shit call or mistake on another player for this upcoming window. I need Stiller, Mateus Fernandez, and Warren. That's the ideal targets to obtain and send them in. Spurs and Arsenal both winning now. Well, Spurs definitely ain't winning anything. Doubt Tchouaméni is leaving Real Madrid. Well, he could leave Real Madrid, maybe. I mean, if this sound, either Tchouaméni or Camavinga. I mean, listen, it's up to Madrid. If they go out of their way to sign a midfielder, I would probably expect one of them to leave. Whether it be Camavinga or Tchouaméni, because I don't think they're going to get rid of Bellingham. They're definitely not going to get rid of Valverde. So, I mean, really, it's up to them. We don't know if it's true or not. There's been a lot of these stories coming out that both of them is going to be sold from there. So we got to sort of see how it plays out, I guess. And I mean, for me, if Madrid entered the market for a midfielder, I think then it gets a lot more realistic that either Tchouaméni or Camavinga leave, and they will sell one of them. So we'll see how that goes. We do have little updates here on the fitness wise. Now we do play Monday again, which I don't know why the fuck are we playing Mondays. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. We'll be home and we'll be playing against Brentford. Um, so we don't play for like a whole nother week, basically, essentially. And we had a little bit of an injury concern because then Cunha came off against Chelsea, reportedly, apparently here, because due to a little bit of discomfort in his right groin. I'm pretty sure Embuemo limped off slightly, so there was maybe a bit of concern there. And then there's Euro obviously wasn't fit, so we do have a full week, and there is hope that Cunha and Lenny will be fit to face Brentford. So hopefully we could get them back into the fold. Because we need them. Especially Mateus Cunha. Because I mean, we were able to manage. I mean, I would like one of our center. Actually, I think Maguire is back as well, so that's a positive. Maguire will be back for Brentford. His suspension has been served, and he'll be ready to go. So at least we'll have another center back option. He'll probably come in for Maz and play next to Heaven. And Heaven had a good game, and you know, again, he's getting another chance and opportunity, which is good because he hasn't been playing a lot. Like Lenny has been getting selected over him. I like Heaven a lot, and I think he's very good. And I like Lenny as well, and I always view them as these are the two guys that are our future. And we may have to rely on them sooner rather than later because we have a bit of a potential crisis back there in terms of, we don't know if Lisandro is going to actually overcome this sort of question mark of his injury proneness. De Ligt has just disappeared with a horrible back injury, and he has a sort of lengthy injury history, and he may go missing next season. And Maguire is up there in age, so he can do his hamstring. He usually does his hamstring, Maguire, and he usually does it once or twice in a season, and he's usually missing for a couple weeks. So we may need to rely on Euro and Heaven as a partnership center back pairing, a lot quicker than maybe people think is going to happen. So the fact that Heaven hasn't played as much as maybe Lenny has, and Heaven can come in and have a performance the way he did, partnered with, yes, an experienced player next to him, but that's not necessarily his first position, even though I think he plays it very beautifully in Mazuari. And be able to have the game he had at Stamford Bridge is very encouraging. Very encouraging. So, yes, also good that Mason Mount is back from his long-term injury. Well, I think Harry Maguire will be back next game. Yes, he will be back. His suspension is served. So, where's the Rashford story? Here it is. So this came from Sport. Dario Sport, Spanish publication. 2 hours ago, Barcelona are unlikely to sign Marcus Rashford. Even with the reduced salary, his wages are still too high for a non-starter. A permanent deal now looks closer to no than yes. And I do believe there was something that came out earlier or the day before as well that pertains to that. So if I could find it, I will say it. Let me see. Rashford. Latest. Um, Yeah, the only thing was that this came from Goal, so I don't know how good this is. I mean, I don't really rate Goal as a good source, but yesterday they did report that Rashford could be set for a high profile move to Italy as Juventus intensify their interest in the Manchester United forward. Um, Listen, I don't really know, where he's gonna end up going if it's not Barca, but he will end up going somewhere. So yeah, he's not coming. He's not coming back though. The the hierarchy have made a decision on him, and I don't think that they're gonna backtrack on it. They don't want him back, and I actually honestly don't think that he wants to come back either. So you know, but I don't think it's that big of a problem. I mean, listen, Barca, do whatever you want. If you don't want him, then you don't want him. We'll take him. We'll sell him to somebody else. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. It's not really gonna be a problem. I mean, he's had a decent showing at Barcelona. I'm sure there's gonna be clubs, like Juventus and others that are gonna be interested, and he's going to have to accept the transfer to some other club. So it is what it is. All Barcelona got to do sell Fernand Lopez, Lewandowski. Yeah, but if they want to do such a thing, but I mean, according to this report, the wages are too high, and he's not really a starter for them, so they don't really want to pay such high wages. Now, it's been reported in the past that he's willing to take a wage cut, but maybe it's still too expensive for them. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, until the time of the loan is actually expired and he actually comes back to us. I mean, anything can happen. Right now, it's just a lot of back and forth. First, we're gonna find a deal. Then Barca are looking to renegotiate. Then they tell you that it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. In a week or two, they'll probably tell you that it is gonna happen. So we'll see how it goes. Mason says, would you take Morgan Rogers over Cole Palmer? Yes. Yes. I think Morgan Rogers is a better player than Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer is very very, very, very overhyped. He's not a bad player, but I don't rate him as highly as some people do. Some people rate him as they talk about him like he's world class. I don't think he's world class. So I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's like this savior that people hold him up as and speak about him in that way. And he does go missing in some big matches sometimes. So, but I like Morgan Rogers a lot, and I think actually Morgan Rogers is probably a better player than Cole Palmer. So, and Morgan Rogers is more versatile as well. You can play Morgan Rogers in the center. You can play him as a winger. So Bayern Munich will sign Marcus Rashford. Well, they could do so. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure if he can't go to Barcelona, and Bayern come in for him, I'm sure he'll be very happy to go to Bayern Munich because it's a club that will definitely be performing in the Champions League, and he'll be winning the Bundesliga, so he can add those things to his name, and it's probably a very viable option for him. I don't think like this Juventus story. I don't think that has any legs to it because I don't think he'll want to go to Juventus. So I don't think he necessarily wants to go to the Serie A. He wants Barcelona. if a deal can't be made, his next best bet would be Bayern if Bayern are actually interested and want him and go for him. Bayern is probably the best choice. If you can't go to Barca, you go to Bayern. And so yeah. Mason with the thumbs up. So you agree? You agree with my take? Like, listen, I like Cole Palmer. Like, he's a good player, but just like, you know, some of these people, they just like, I don't know, they just talk about him like he's like exceptionally above the rest, and I'm just like, I've seen him disappear in big games. I've seen him play like shit. Like, he's not. Like, let's put it this way: Bruno Fernandes is miles better than him. Bruno is way more impactful, way more consistent. So, I mean, I know Cole Palmer is still way younger than Bruno, but I don't talk about Cole Palmer like that. I mean, Bruno, the way they talk about Cole Palmer is the way I talk about Bruno, but Bruno has earned it because he's shown it and he's been consistent about it for years now. Yildiz Rashford swap. Well, I don't think that can happen though, because swaps don't happen. So they would have to be individual, and Yildiz just signed a new contract. So I don't think that I don't think that they're gonna let Yildiz leave in this summer. And if you want to get Yildiz, you're probably gonna have to pay something crazy, somewhere around the somewhere around the range of, you know, probably 100 million to get him out of there, considering he just signed a new contract. So, um, and then direct swaps. I mean, direct swaps don't really happen. So I wouldn't expect a swap to happen. Um, I just want to see like his, yeah. I mean, his estimated market value right now, and this is on transfer market, so 75 million euros. So, you know, and he just had a contract extension February 7th, 2026. So, you know, good luck. The Yildiz isn't going anywhere this summer. Not happening. You do? Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, like, also right now we don't really have room for Cole Palmer because, I mean, where would he play? You know, I think Paul Scholes said something like this today. I think he said something like, you know, actually, I got it right here. He said the only problem I see with signing Cole Palmer for United is where does he play? He doesn't play instead of Bruno. Now Bruno goes in the summer, then yeah, all day long. And I sort of agree with that as well. Like, if Bruno is staying here, what are we getting Cole Palmer for? He's not going to play ahead of Bruno Fernandes. And I don't think Bruno is going to leave. Although some people think that he might, but I don't think Bruno will leave. Because I think United want him to stay, and I think we're going to try and do everything to keep him. And if Carrick's the manager, no doubt that he'll be pushing for Bruno to stay as well. Um, so I don't really see the point in going for Cole Palmer while Bruno Fernandes is here. Um, and also, then there's still Mason Mount as well, you know, which by all means get rid of Mason Mount to get another guy, but you're not going to buy Cole Palmer to put him on the bench and have Bruno play basically 85% of the season. So, We'll see, though. I mean, if Bruno stays, then, there's nothing for Cole Palmer is happening. But if Bruno goes, then obviously the Cole Palmer links are going to go through the roof and, start popping off. So we'll see how that goes. Now, there is a piece of news here that for those of you that get quite concerned about transfer fees, like it's your own bank account, okay? If you're standing up, sit down because you might fall. You might have a panic attack or something. So prep yourself for this. Now, I don't know about these sources, okay? But when I read it, you might have a bit of a shock. Apparently, and this was an hour ago, Manchester United are set to submit a 40 million euro bid in the coming days for 16-year-old Palmeiras forward Eduardo Conceição. I mean, I don't really believe this. There's no way in hell we're submitting a 40 million euro bid for a 16-year-old that plays in Palmeiras. But this is one of the updates we got today. Some journalist, I believe he's probably Brazilian, but I have no clue who he is. His name is Flavio Latif. And I guess he works for a publication named UOL Esporte, who have 1.3 million followers and is followed by Fabrizio Romano. And they are a Brazilian outlet. So there's that. But yeah, I don't really think that that's gonna happen. There's absolutely no way we're submitting a 40 million euro pound bid for a 16-year-old Palmeiras forward. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. That's for sure. We're not bringing you malls. Stop talking nonsense. Diamande too far expensive? Well, we'll see. I mean, the Jan Diamande links have gone kind of pretty quiet compared to what they were around in January, so but I don't think we're gonna touch the wingers until we sort out the midfield first. So I fully expect. I mean, it kind of makes sense because everything is focused around the central midfield right now. So until we sort of get the players that we need for central midfield, I mean, I expect the other positions to kind of really take a back seat until those deals are done, and then it'll move on going forward. What else do we have? Kobe Mainu, by the way, just turned 21. It was his birthday the other day, and he had a party. So happy birthday, Kobe Mainu. Some people are trying to reach with this Tchouaméni thing. I mean, people are putting up like, Tchouaméni had like an old interview and was asked who inspired him the most. And he said Paul Pogba and Neto. And then they put like, the eyes. And like that's got nothing to do with anything if he's coming to United or not. Just why? Because Paul Pogba is not even considered like a United legend. So, if he said Paul Scholes or some shit, okay, maybe. Or if he said fucking, if Tchouaméni said like Roy Keane or something, okay, maybe I could get it. But like, you mentioned Paul Pogba. This was also from James Ducker in the Telegraph. No, I read that already. Sorry. But this one was on Elliot Anderson, okay? This was from James Ducker in the Telegraph, and this is the one that I didn't. This is the one that I didn't read. But Manchester City are leading the race for Elliot Anderson. Nothing new there. They've been saying that for weeks and weeks and weeks now. With Nottingham Forest valuing him at £100 million. Manchester United admire him, but the price could be a major hurdle. So, but my thing is like, if you're going based off of these reports, and you take that in a certain negative way. So we're not going to get Elliot Anderson because he wants to go to City, and to pay $100 million for him is a major hurdle. So we're not going to get the deal done. So he's off the table. Then you have the update of Adam Wharton, who we've heavily scouted, but they consider him too similar to Kobe Mainu. So if you want to take that and say, well, they're not going to go get him. So Anderson off the table, and then Wharton off the table. So then what are we doing? Carlos Baleba? Okay. And then who are we doing? What are we doing after Carlos Baleba? Because we also had this from James Ducker in the Telegraph saying that Manchester United interest in Sandro Tonali is receding at this stage. So Tonali also off the table, let's just say, for fun, right? Let's just play a game. Tonali off the table, Elliot Anderson off the table, Wharton off the table. So we're getting Baleba, and who else are we getting? Tchouaméni? And then maybe like Stiller, Alex Scott, Mateus Fernandez as like a third. Maybe. I don't know. These two are fringe sources. They're different names. I mean, one's a different name. One's been mentioned in the past, but somebody was asking or talking about the wingers. He is a winger, so I'll mention it, even though I'm not 100% on this source. But his name is Ekrem Konor. Works for Caught Offside and some other ex-BBC, ex-ESPN, ex-Goal, ex-Darius, ex-Build journalist. This guy's had a lot of jobs. This update he provided, saying United are keen to bolster their attack this summer with Borussia Dortmund winger Karim Adeyemi emerging as a key target. Adeyemi is viewed as a strong option for the left wing, a position United want to upgrade. Dortmund is set to value him at around 65 to 70 million euros. Yeah, I don't know about Adeyemi. Not that I wouldn't take him as a player. I just don't know how I feel about the story. I kind of feel like the story is bullshit. It involves Borussia Dortmund. They value him around 65, 70 million. They're going to play games with us. It's going to be a pain in the ass. And he is another one of these players that he is in negotiations. So, again, a lot of the German sort of things, usually our name gets linked to them, but they're always in contract negotiations, and then they usually end up signing a new contract and staying there. The same thing was the same case with Nico Schlotterbeck like a couple weeks ago. When it was first reported, I said the same thing. I mean, he's trying to negotiate a contract. Our name gets linked to it, and then a week or two later, they pretty much were like, "Yeah, he's gonna end up staying at Dortmund and signing a new contract. He wants to stay. He doesn't really want to go, and he's not gonna come to United." Why does Anderson desire to go to the City though? Because they have Pep Guardiola, and probably because they have a good chance of winning the Premier League. And they'll do decently well in the Champions League. So, and they've been one of the more successful teams in recent history. I mean, they might win the league again this season with the way things are going. So, kind of makes sense. X, he said this last time in the comments as well. Like, he's sincerely, our owners are multimillionaires. Just buy Yamal already. Okay. Number one, do you understand who our owners are? Yes. Number two, it doesn't work like that. You can't, even if you had hundreds of billions, you can't just take $100 billion out of your bank and put it into the club. They don't let you do that. You have to do it in a certain way. So they can't just take money out of their pocket necessarily and put it in. They would have to finance it in a special way for it to be accepted through the rules and regulations of the Premier League and UEFA. And you know damn very well that they're not putting any money into the club because they've never done so. And they never will. Hasib says Tchouaméni, who Madrid replaced Casse with. Imagine us doing exactly the cycle. It's just funny. Yeah, I saw that before. Somebody said that actually. I mean, it would be ironic. Would be ironic. He is a good player, but no development in Madrid. Yeah, I think maybe the hopes was like he was going to be way better. I mean, he is 26, about to be 27 by next January, and I didn't even know he was actually 26. I thought he was still like 24, 25 or something like that. But I think people thought maybe he was going to be a lot better than he actually is right now. I still think he's a good player, but there was a lot of high hopes for him. So, what's this? I remember Omar. Oh, Omar. Yeah, I remember you. What's up, Omar? Tchouaméni in, which is not bad. Guys, remember, please smash the like button if you haven't done so already. It is a massive help, so thank you. And if you've done so, appreciate it very much. If he chooses City over us, he is stupid. Well, I wouldn't call him necessarily stupid, but Stiller, Tonali, and Joao Gomes are the three I want. I don't know if we go for Tonali, but Stiller, I see it can happen. Well, I think Stiller is definitely an option that is definitely can happen. I mean, the price is right. He has a buyout clause, but the buyout clause can be bought out for $2 million. But still, I don't think. I mean, he's not going to cost anywhere probably over 60 million. So, I think with the fee, purely based over the fee, it's one that you definitely can do. The only thing that holds me back from that is just that he won't be one of the main two. Because I still, again, I believe 100% that their focus is to get two guys that have Premier League experience. They want to replicate what they did with the 10s. They want to do it in the midfield. So they're gonna have to pick two guys: Baleba, Wharton, Anderson, Joao Gomes, Mateus Fernandez, Alex Scott, whatever. They're gonna have to pick two guys from the Premier League, and then the third guy can be literally anybody I guess they want it to be, which could be Stiller because you could get him for maybe 45, 50 million, whatever it is. He has no Premier League experience, but he'll be the third guy. I think that's what makes the most sense right now. in terms of based on the information that gets reported to us. Tonali, I just said, I don't know if you were here or not, but Tonali, James Duncan Telegraph reported 4 hours ago that United's interest in Tonali is receding at this stage. So, maybe fee too high, and so they're starting to look elsewhere. £100 million investment and then £100 million spend, £100 million spending. Well, my whole thing is like, they could do it if they were to sell something, but our setup doesn't make sense for it. I think if it was just Ineos here, I think it's totally reasonable. To be like, why aren't you investing more money? Why aren't you getting more money into the club? But the fact that they only own 28% while the Glazers own the rest is just something that doesn't make sense. Like, you might want it to happen, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for them to do it. It doesn't make sense for Ineos to take money and put more money into the club. While the Glazers have racked up all the debt and refused to pay it off, and then Ineos are not going to get anything out of it. Like, you know, why would Ineos inject 100 million and get nothing more out of it? They're not going to get any more of a share. So it doesn't make sense. It's not, it can't happen. If Ineos own the whole thing by themselves, and then it'd be like, well, they should be putting in more money. Make a bullshit sponsorship with Ineos itself, like they did with Spurs. They had like the Ineos cycling thing. Make a sponsorship and funnel the money in, because legally they could do that. Chelsea had hotels that they owned, and they sold it, and then they injected all that cash, which is why they spend all the money. It's a loophole, but it's a legal loophole. But they're not going to do that because the Glazers own the percentage that they own, so it doesn't make sense. Give me Barcola, Champions League experience, young. Need guarantees. Well, I mean, I like Barcola very much, but I don't think Barcola is going to go anywhere. I mean, PSG have built a phenomenal team, and they have probably the best director of football in the world, and they have top manager, and then Barcola is one that's going to stay there for a while. I don't think they're really in the. I mean, listen, they got money. They don't need to sell. They've gotten these players in for a reason, like Barcola and stuff, and Doué, so that they're at the club for the next 10 years, Do you know about the news about the Brazilian kid? I just talked about that. Any truth to that? He is highly rated, and we have failed with Endrick and Estevao and Monstano. I mean, I don't necessarily believe it. I can't say if it's true or not 100% either way. I personally don't believe it, because I don't think that we're going to spend 40 million euros on a 16-year-old kid. We're not in a position to do such a thing. While we'll still have more money for this upcoming window compared to maybe last window, and our prospects are looking a lot better, we still have a crazy amount of debt. We're paying a crazy amount of interest on the debt, and we need to spend a bunch of money on players for the first team. Spending 40 million euros on a 16-year-old kid that's not going to see the light of day of the first team for at least 2 years or a year, I don't think is realistic. So I think our name is being, number one, I think our name is being used again, and listen, we might have some interest in the kid. We might be looking at him, or we might have scouted him. But I don't think in any circumstance we're going to see a report that confirms that United have actually put in a 40 million euro bid for a 16-year-old Brazilian kid. So, they're asking price for 50 million. So it's a good deal in my opinion. Also, Stiller is guaranteed starter. He's better than most of midfielders we're going for, except Tonali and Anderson. Well, the thing is, the thing is with these players like Stiller, he might be very good, but there's always the risk of getting a player from the Bundesliga and getting him to come play in the Premier League, and then there's also the other risk of getting a player that plays for a team like Stuttgart and having them come play for Manchester United. There's always an adjustment period. They usually don't really hit the ground running. So he could be a starter, but it could be rough in the beginning, which is why I think that they're valuing Premier League experience, which I sort of agree with as well. And I've said this probably a few times somewhere here and there in the past. Like, if you look at some of the other clubs that maybe didn't have the best team at one point and then started to build the team that they did poach a bunch of players from the Premier League. It did help them building the team. It did help make the team stronger. It made a stronger foundation. Then obviously you mix it up with getting players from other places, because you don't have to buy every player from the Premier League. But I think it does help. Like, I think you can probably see that in a couple different examples in other places. Like, I did say at one point as well, like, I was like, if we did sack Ruben before we sacked Ruben, I said maybe we should go and get a manager that has some sort of Premier League experience for stabilization. Because we got the Ten Hag, he didn't have Premier League experience. He lost his job. And we got Ruben in, he didn't have any Premier League experience, young guy. He ended up losing his job. And I was like, well, maybe our squad right now, we need somebody that knows the league. So the transition is easier, because it's still hard to transition to Manchester United. But if you need to get adjusted to United, and then you have to get adjusted to English football and the Premier League, which is obviously the most competitive league in the world, it's a lot to sort of balance at one time. And Manchester United is a very high pressure job, and you don't get a lot of time. You don't get a lot of time. You get some time, but you don't get a lot of time. You better get some answers, and you better start performing, or it can quite easily get a lot more rough. So, Steve says Wharton thing could be a smokescreen similar to Kobe. Is BS. Barrios Athletic is very talented. Who we linked every time. I watch him, crazy good. Also, Keith Smith. Yeah, I know about Keith Smith. Is amazing as well. Not ready though. Access, thanks for the stream. Good night. Yeah, we'll see you later. Have a good night. Carlos Baleba, Premier League. That's why he will be first signing, says Lucky. Well, it could very much be so, yeah. Prem proven should not be a parameter. Okay, get Prem proven like Tonali or whoever, but get Stiller in. He's Champions League experience, and Julian Nagelsmann should be the manager. Well, but I would argue back on that again, and I would say I do agree with them a little bit. I do think that Prem proven does help to a certain degree. I think you need to strike a nice balance between it. I don't think we should just I don't think you just say Prem proven, that's it, but it does kind of make sense. I mean, if you look at the midfield, okay, we have only Kobe Mainu. In my opinion, we only have Kobe Mainu. Ugarte needs to be sold. He doesn't work. He's not good enough. He's not versatile enough. So he's not an option. But we only have Kobe. Cass is leaving. So we need 3 midfielders. And I think the best balance for three midfielders is get two Premier League sort of proven players, players that have played in the Prem, that they can handle the competition on a week to week basis. They know the football, make the transition less harder for them and for the team. Get them in, and then the third guy, you can afford to take a more of a gamble on a guy that doesn't play in the Premier League, because you already have three central midfielders that are accustomed to playing in the Prem, so you expect them to be able to handle that. And then the fourth guy will be sort of your I guess, unicorn or whatever you want to call him. Like, he will be sort of the guy that you take a little bit more of a gamble on, because he could have a harder time to adjust. I mean, I take examples like, if you look at Sesko, it was a bit rough for him in the beginning. He's gotten a bit more up to speed, but you can't really afford to have that for the guy in the midfield. You don't really want that. You don't really want that. You don't want that situation. You don't want the guy to take 3, 4, 5 months to get adjusted to the Premier League. Meanwhile, we're playing Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup games, and we need him because he's a starter, and we need him to play good, and he's struggling to play good. You look at Xerxes, was like similar. I mean, when he came in, he started off very rough. He got better on later on in the season, but it took months. So I do think the Premier League experience thing makes sense. I don't think they need to go crazy and sign all three players from the Premier League, but I think a nice balance would be get two Prem players and go get another guy. Whether that be Stiller or somebody else. On Nagelsmann being the manager, I mean, at this point in time, I mean, listen. I'm still not 100% fussed over the manager. I mean, I said this before we even sacked Ruben, okay? I think Carrick's done a good enough job. If they want to give it to Carrick, go ahead, give it to Carrick. My whole thing is the club itself needs to do the best possible job that the club can do in terms of getting in the correct profile of players and spending the money that is needed for the squad. Otherwise, doesn't matter what manager you have, none of them are going to succeed. So, I like Julian Nagelsmann. If they were to go for Julian Nagelsmann, I'll take him. At this moment in time, for me, based on the availability of candidates, I'd take either Carrick or Nagelsmann. I don't really care. I don't really see anybody else. So we could go down the Carrick route. Maybe it's what we need. Maybe it's what Ineos want. Maybe it just so happens to be a decently good enough match in terms of he's not a traditional manager. He's a younger guy. He could be seen more as a coach. Okay, he's sort of this new generation. Nagelsmann is younger as well, but maybe he fits the bill. Ineos want a coach. They don't want necessarily a Tuchel. They want basically somebody like a Vincent Kompany, essentially. Carrick could be our Vincent Kompany. He might not win us the Prem, but, there's different levels to this. He could be sort of like the Arteta in a similar way. Like, he could get to the squad. He could get the club very stable and consistent and strong. And then maybe at some point, if it goes all right and he's here for the next few years, Carrick, it could get to the point where it's like, okay, kind of where I see Arsenal right now. Like, Arsenal's gotten to this point, and I've been saying this, and I've been telling my Arsenal friends this, like, bro, he's had 6 years. This is it. If you don't win the Prem, or you don't win the Champions League, like, he's got to get sacked, and as a club, if you're a big club, you got to make a move for a manager that's the next step up. You got to go get some sort of an elite guy that's going to take what you got here and cross you over the line. Because clearly, then Arteta, he clearly shows that he can't do it. So you got to go get somebody that's a better manager than him. And I think the same thing could be something like Michael Carrick. Like, he's brung stability right now. We performed much better. You know, the results in terms of, like, you know, the points and stuff has improved. We're in third. We're holding strong in third. And there's only a few matches left. We're going to get into Champions League. And maybe he just continues this and carries it on. And over the next, let's just say 2 seasons, for example, we are just very consistently strong to a certain degree. Maybe we don't necessarily win anything, but we're consistently strong in that we're staying in the Champions League. We're performing decently well in these competitions. We're not winning anything, but on a consistent basis, we're not going 3rd to 8th to 15th, back to 7th to 6th to 4th. You know, we're not jumping all around the place. Maybe it just gets us to be consistent. You know, we push hard for the Prem, but we don't win it. But, you know, we're a strong team. We do decently good in Champions Leagues, but we get knocked out, you know, maybe in the quarterfinals or something like that. You know, FA Cup, maybe we get to like the semifinals and stuff like that. And if that happens over the next couple of years, and then, you know, and then maybe after that, maybe then you got to go get somebody else that's a couple levels ahead of Carrick. Second, I had to get my charger. My phone died. Prem proven is less risky, but if we want best talents, we got to go out high risk, high reward. Yeah, but there's good talent in the Prem as well. I mean, they play there, so. But that's what I'm saying. That's why we need to mix it, Hasib. We need to mix it. You don't have to go Prem proven crazy, but I mean, it will help. And I think when you look at our squad, I think we do need it. You know, right now we look like we have a decent base, a decently strong base, but we can make it stronger. And I think if we go and get 2 players from the Prem and add them to the squad and their quality, you know what I mean? We should improve in that manner. And then we can take your high risk, high reward player as our third option, so we're not totally screwed. And then that would hopefully be enough for us to have another very good season next season. And then we could move on. Because, like, where we are compared to the others, like, look at Liverpool. Okay, they won the Prem last season, and they need to rebuild. They also went out and spent a bunch of money. Now, they got a few players. They're not from the Prem. And they haven't necessarily done particularly well. They've struggled. So they were more in a position to do such a thing because, one, they've been better than us over the last 12 years. They've won the Prem a couple times. They've won the Champions League. They've done well in these competitions. They have more money. So you can take that gamble. But it hasn't necessarily worked out for them. And, you know, even City to a certain extent. But these are teams that have already won things. So you're in a better position to take those gambles when you won things. We haven't won anything. So we need to, like, build the core foundation still. So, and we have a bit of a money problem. So we do have to mitigate sort of the risk. And be smart about it, you know? Until we get to a position where we can start to take more risks because we're performing better on a consistent basis. I don't get the Baleba obsession. The guy doesn't even start for Brighton. Well, he's had a bad season for Brighton. I don't know what it is, per se. Yeah, maybe he's just not happy at Brighton. Maybe he just wants to go. I mean, we've seen that with players before. That could be the case. Maybe he really wanted to leave in the summer and, just wasn't happening because Brighton, and he sort of just has gone into the season, his heart's not in it, and um, maybe he's doing it on purpose. If you want to be cynical, maybe he's doing it on purpose because he's like, Brighton fucking won 100 million and United, I want to go to United, but United can't spend 100 million. So maybe I just half-ass this season and lower my value a bit and put them in a fucking position where they accept to sell me for less so I could go to Manchester United because he really wants to go to Manchester United. Maybe that's happening. Maybe he just was a one-hit wonder. He had a really good season last season, and maybe he ain't actually that good on a consistent basis, but he's a young guy. I think he's good. I'm not worried. I'm not really too bothered by him not having the best season this season. I still think I would go and get him, but I would definitely be pushing the price down. And I think there's definitely far worse options out there that could happen if it's not Carlos Baleba. So I think Carlos Baleba is a decent option. I sort of just am like, I don't know, just, go get a couple guys, put them in the team. Let's see what we got. You know what I mean? That's what I want them to do for me. Go get the guys. I at this point, I don't really care too much. Like, I'm not getting frustrated and just going crazy over it's gotta be Elliot Anderson or it's gotta be, why are we getting Baleba? Like, I don't care. Just make the calls, make the decisions, because they're not in my hands anyway. So why am I spending all the time worrying and getting pissed off and aggravated or whatever it is? Why am I stressing out about this shit? I can't control anything. Go get the guys. I want to see who it is, and then I want to see them in the United kit, and then we'll know if they were the right call or not. And that's it. Because it's draining. It's draining. It's draining. The midfield stories are nonstop. They're going to be nonstop until we sign them. My head spins reading the news. I'm going to be quite honest, like, it's not really a fun time. Like, I'm not really enjoying it. Usually I enjoy the updates because they tend to be different and they go in like different directions. Right now, it's the same stories over and over again. It's been the same stories for months. I'm quite bored of it, and I'm tired, and it's actually just I'm already mentally fatigued from the same shit every day. Elliot Anderson, Baleba, Wharton. Nothing is changing. There's no movement. Nothing's happening. They just keep rehashing the same shit. So, like, I'm already kind of over it. It's too much. It's too much of the same information for too long. They've already basically killed the excitement for me. I'm like, to be quite honest, they've already basically killed the excitement for me. Like, I just want to get to the point. Like, if I had, like the movie Click with Adam Sandler, if I had the remote, I would use it. And I'd press fast forward to the point in the summer where we actually just made the signing so that we can get this shit out of the way and we can start talking and focusing about other things that need to also happen and not just this midfield rebuild. And we'll have, like, we'll have our answer. Like, we'll be like, okay, these are the guys we bought. Let's see how it goes. Because really, a big part of it is, we can say this guy's better than that guy and this guy, and, why are we going for this guy and that guy's not good? But ultimately, the real deciding factor is whoever we get, once they put on the United kit and they play in matches for us, that's where the real answer comes from. Because everything else is speculation, opinion, and, it just doesn't. A lot of the times, it doesn't really work out in the way that a lot of us believe or say that it's going to work out. I mean, I can remember when we signed Manuel Ugarte, there was a lot of hype for Manuel Ugarte. It was including one of them. I had high hopes for Manuel Ugarte. But fast forward to 2 seasons in, nobody wants Ugarte, nobody likes him. It hasn't gone the way that we hoped and thought that it would go. So, and this could go both ways. Like, some people might not want Joao Gomes. We might end up getting Joao Gomes. Some people might not be happy with that. The majority of people might not be happy with that and be like, we got Joao Gomes, we didn't get Elliot Anderson. This is shit. And then Joao Gomes puts on a shirt and we watch him play and we go, actually, you know what? I like this guy. He does a job. He's actually been good. And then we're happy with him. So I just want to get to the point where we got the midfield signings. It's honestly such a headache to think about because there's no actual real clear direction in terms of who it's actually going to be. There's a lot of options, which is okay because I think that's a good thing for the club to have a lot of options. But in terms of the media play, it's just such a headache. It's such a headache. They pull you left, they pull you right, they pull you up, pull you down, pull you back. We're signing this guy, we're not signing that guy, we're signing that guy, we're not signing this guy, we're not interested in him, we're interested in him, but we're not interested in him. And it's just like, all right, dude, like, let's just fucking get on with it now. It's only April. All right. We got to deal with this shit for at least another 2 months. At least. I would like progress to be made, but obviously we got to wait for the time. I mean, nothing's going to happen right now. Nothing's going to happen until the season ends, so we're just going to have to keep dealing with these sort of rumors and stuff like that, but I'm quite fatigued. I'm quite fatigued by it. Actually, literally, like, I have a headache. I literally legitimately have a headache from thinking about this. Every day you wake up, okay? I use X. I don't know what you guys use, but I use X for the news, okay? I go on there. I follow like 27 different aggregators. All right? I look at the news. It's the same shit. Elliot Anderson, Baleba, Wharton, and then every once in a while they throw us a new one. Like Tonali wasn't there always. He came in, but now he's exiting out. Bruno G was in there for a little bit, but he's been gone for weeks now. Now it's Tchouaméni and possibly Eduardo Camavinga. Those could disappear within a couple weeks as well. So. That's what I'm saying. Why get 2 guys premier because the depth process quicker, better. Yeah. You were excited for Ugarte. Why? He was never good. Technically hyped him up and called him a destroyer. That's exactly what I did. I already have his in. I'm chewing it. That's how bad it is. I think I'm the only person that does that, by the way. I don't know if other people do that. Any Zin people out there? Anybody that pops some Zins? You guys chew it? I chew it sometimes at the end. Get a little bit more flavor out of it. When it's at the end, I chew it like gum. Dude, one time I ate one of these. By accident. I was doing this, what I'm doing now, chewing it, and I wasn't paying attention, right? I was like talking in conversation, and like I chewed it so much that it just like dissolved, and like it just became nothing. And I was like, damn, I just ate his in. I was like, I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's good. It's definitely not healthy, but I was just like, am I gonna die? But I didn't. I'm alright. Yeah, he was never good technically. Yeah, but I thought he could be like I thought Ugarte could be like a defensively, I thought he could be a bigger force. I thought he could be a bigger impact when we first signed him. Like when we signed him, before he actually even like took the photos or whatever, and played a match. I just thought, I was like, listen, he's clearly, and I knew because you could look up the stats anyway. Like I watched him a little bit, but when you look up the stats throughout his career, I'm like, okay, he doesn't do necessarily well passing the ball forward. That's not his strong suit. His strong suit is defensively. So I was like, I thought he could have an impact as a guy that we could put on to get the ball back for us in matches where we're struggling to win the ball back in midfield games. But he isn't even that much of a presence like that. Like, he can do that, but it's not big enough. It's just not enough. It's not enough. So yeah. Would you go back, Bruno Guimaraes, as far as we know? We could go back for Bruno Guimaraes as far as we know. Well, I mean, yes. Listen, I will say right now, because of the time we're in, okay, it's April the 20th. 420. Wink, wink. To all the to all my green people out there, okay? Listen, it's April. It's still very early. These things, and as we know, with transfers and stories, shit can change on a dime. So it's still very early. I think, obviously, when we get to the end of the season, and it's basically like the end of May, beginning of June, it'll get a bit more serious. Maybe it'll get a bit more clear. And then, obviously, as we start going further into June, as we usually do, as we've done so previously, we'll start getting a clear, more realer indication. Shit will start happening. Deals will start being made. It'll be a lot more clear in what's actually going to happen. I remember just going based off of last summer. I mean, our season ended and it was Liam Delap, Mateus Cunha. Now, we didn't get Liam Delap, but we did go and do Mateus Cunha quite quickly. And then after that, I mean, there was a bunch of other players being linked in between, but we then moved on to getting Mbeumo. And we had to deal with that for a few weeks. I think that took a bit of time, but we got Mbeumo in, and then we moved to the striker. So yeah, we're linked to like some 10-something players. So just for the midfield, Coldbridge sold out. Well, I did see that he did do a deal with the overlap. I don't know. It's his channel. It's his show. I mean, I kind of understand what he's doing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily sold out, but we'll see. Like we always say, the proof will be in the pudding. Okay. Listen, he promised that things aren't going to necessarily like change in the way that people are saying that they think he is, like that he's sold out in that manner. He's put that statement out there, so fine. That's his words. So let's just see what happens. If he starts doing his shows and his channels differently, and it's not what it used to be, well, then the people that says that he's sold out, well, then you can claim victory and say, yeah, he's sold out, and whatever. But I mean, listen, if it goes the way that he was describing that it goes, I don't think I would say it was a sellout, because if I was in his shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. It has to be the right thing. It has to be operated properly. Like I would do a deal, but if they try to, if they tell me I can't say certain things, I'm not doing it. I think he's the same way, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But listen. I think what he's doing makes sense. So, um, listen, he's taking the fan content um off of a platform from YouTube, and he's legitimizing it even further um with that sort of deal. And I mean, I guess the only problem is that the mainstream is maybe trying to take it over, because what our things are is not mainstream. But the mainstream needs to change as well, because there's a clear reason as to why people have moved away from the mainstream and have moved towards fan channels and non-mainstream things, and it's because people relate to it more. It's more real and it's more authentic. So if the mainstream's plan is to hijack the non-mainstream stuff and turn it mainstream and make it fit in between their guidelines of how the mainstream runs things, it's not going to work. But if the mainstream is going to change its platform to be more real and to not be so scripted and to not be so censored, well, then it could be a win-win for everybody. So it just depends how it goes. And we'll find out, We'll find out how it goes. But listen, we do got to get out of here, okay? Because I got to go take care of some things. I need to go work out. I haven't eaten yet, so we do got to do that. I don't believe I'm going to go live tomorrow, but I will put... hold on, let me just see something. There was a match today as well, isn't there? Was it Crystal Palace? Okay, load. Load. They drew 0-0, Crystal Palace and West Ham. What does that mean for the table? That's good for Tottenham, no? It's good for Spurs. So if West Ham won, they would have been in deeper shit. They're still 2 points off of West Ham as it stands now. 33 matches played. So, yeah, but I think Tottenham are going to get relegated anyway. I've been saying that for weeks, so. It doesn't look like De Zerbi has any magic fairy dust that he's going to be able to turn that around. I think they're cooked. But I don't think we'll go live tomorrow, but I do think we will go live on Wednesday. So let me just see. Wednesday, there's 2 matches in the Prem, but there's Burnley and City and Bournemouth and Leeds. But we don't really care about that because we're United. And I guess the Burnley City one will be important for the league, but we could just talk about it. The live chat could keep us updated about it. Yeah, so I don't think I'll go live tomorrow, but I'll go live Wednesday, and then I'll probably do Wednesday and Thursday, and I think Friday we're not going to be able to go live again because I have work. I don't know what time I'll get home. So Friday is sort of a probably not going to happen, but there is a slight chance. I'd give it maybe a 20% chance that we could do it, because if I finish a bit early, then I'll be able to get home in time. But I doubt it. I'll be able to make it for Friday. So we'll go live Wednesday. We'll go live Thursday. We'll do back-to-backs because we can't do a Friday. And then we'll go from there, and we'll see about the rest of the weekend. Maybe a Saturday, maybe a Sunday. And we'll move on from there. You like Beth? I'm going to be honest. I'm not really a fan of Beth. Not really a fan of Beth. Not really a fan of Beth. Not that it's not that I hate her or anything. I just don't think she has very good opinions. don't rate her takes. I would love to debate her one day. Probably never gonna happen because you know, we're nothing compared to them. But yeah, I don't like her takes. I think she has some horrible takes. They get me pissed. I don't hate her as an individual though. It's not no animosity, nothing like that. I just don't rate her takes. I think they're very good. But yeah, listen, thank you everybody that neither does Renoso. Yeah, thank you everybody that smashed the like button. Sorry for the screen shaking, just smacked the table. Thank you everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you everybody that tuned in. Thank you to all the chatters in the chat. Okay, thank you to the silent ones that had me on in the background and were listening, still supporting the stream. I kept forgetting to do these, but I remembered today, so I'll do it today. I don't know why, but top fans for the show, Lucky, Sing #1, okay, and tied for first, Mr. Renoso. You guys got the same amount of XP. All right, number 3 for whatever reason is missing. I don't know why. It might be Axe, but for whatever reason, he'll claim that he's being censored, which is just, yeah, delusion in his head. But there's no number 3 for whatever reason. So the third one up, which says it's 4th, is Omar. So yeah, Shah, Lucky, Renoso, Omar, Mason, Hasib, Rajat, Volpe, Mapuka, and all the rest of you guys. I'm chauvinistic for sure, though. It is what it is. I should go on the United stand. Okay, if you figure out for me how to get onto the United stand, let me know. Because I don't know how to do such a thing, Lucky. I don't know how to do such a thing. I mean, they're the biggest fan channel in the world. I'm sure their fucking shit is flooded with people. How you get their attention and how you get them to actually get me on the show. I'd go on there. I'd go on there immediately. I would love nothing more to do than do a show. It would never happen, but I think the one thing that I don't like about their setup is that because his channel is too big, Goldbridge needs another person with him sometimes. He needs another guy or another person that can give a different opinion live with him. So there's a little bit of a back and forth because his channel is so big that all he can do is read super chats, and you know, there's people that disagree with him, but it's sort of selective, okay? And it's different than us. Like, you guys write in the chat, I'll read everything, and I respond to everything. He can't do that, because it's just impossible. But he sort of sits on his own, and I think, actually, sometimes he says things, and I think there should be somebody else there that has a different opinion of him. That's why I think it was good when he brought Terry Flewers, because I was like, well, Terry has a bit of a different opinion than Mark. And when they do the show together, it's like you're getting two sides, and it's live. So I thought it made for a good dynamic. But yeah, you Lucky, you figure out, get me on the show. Get me on the United stand, Lucky. Get it done, okay? Get it done for me. Set it up. Email them or something. I don't know. But listen, all right, I'm gonna get out of here for real. All right, so everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday nights, evenings, or mornings for some of you, because sometimes you got some people are watching. It's 3:35 in the morning next day. So enjoy the rest of your days. All right, be good, stay safe. Thank you for all the support. Appreciate every single one of you, as usual. And we'll see each other on Wednesday, okay? Wednesday, same time, 8:15 p.m. UK time. We will be live. I went live a little bit late today because I was running a bit late. But 8:15 p.m. Wednesday and 8:15 p.m. Thursday. will be live. So be good. Later, dog, says Renault. So later, brother. Take care, and we'll speak very, very soon. All right.